It has been over a hot minute. July went so sideways so quickly for a multitude of reasons. My 4th of July weekend kind of went a little sideways when long-standing friends of the family needed some help, volunteered some of my time. It took me almost 2 weeks to recover from the heat exhaustion of sitting out all day in the sun. And then my sister had some company over. That week, my AC goes out. So Tuesday night to Friday at like 4 or 5 p.m., I had no AC. Let's remember, I am in Texas. In the middle of July, I had no AC from Tuesday to Friday. It went out Tuesday at like 2 in the morning. So I woke up and I immediately was like, this is gonna be a bad day. How do I even introduce myself? I'm Quinn Moone. I write career fairy tales, and July went utterly sideways. So anyways, Tuesday night, AC goes out, and at 6 in the morning, I'm in Lowe's buying a window unit because this is the second time it happens. I'm like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Went to get that window unit, called the AC repair people. They came out and they're like, good news, it's broken and we know what it is. Bad news, the part's gonna take 3 days. Had to scramble for a second window unit, had to rush my dogs to daycare because it was like 90 degrees in my house by late afternoon. One of the girls is like, I would have had such a meltdown. I'm like, girl, I would have too, but like I was the adult in the room. I needed to actually figure this out. I could not afford a meltdown no matter how much I wanted it. And because my sister had company, I couldn't stay with my sister. My dogs couldn't stay in one of her rooms. It was just the perfect storm. And then I think because of all of the stress, both my dogs got sick as soon as we got AC back. Thankfully, we had AC, so my dogs could comfortably be sick. It's fine. It was just a lot of change and heat and just stuff being yucky, man. We are finally better this week, sort of, like last week. It was all of July. It was just like a blur, a really hot, heat exhausted blur. It was terrible. Here's to hopefully not repeating that in August. And this is what I'm gonna read for August, because I did get some reading done in July. I really underestimated how awful heat exhaustion is. My house was 90 degrees. And because the builders had a morbid sense of humor, none of the windows open unless they're in the bedrooms. So yay, floor to ceiling windows. Boo, they don't open. I'm not sure whose brilliant idea that was. That was where we were at. That's what we were dealing with. We made the best of it. I didn't have a breakdown. My dogs were taken care of. I was semi-fed. Out of the kindness of my sister's heart, because it was just a miserable week. On to, hopefully, cooler and brighter pastures. This is what I'll be reading for August. I had to reset, not only because everything went sideways, not only because I pivoted what Quinn Q3 and 4 was gonna be, but also because I had to catch up. I still have milestones to reach. I still have crap I got to do, regardless of life going sideways on me. I have to pilot my drafting process in November. I have to be done with X amount of books in October to meet that, because December is my 2-week break that I have to go and do 99% of the work, because after that I don't get another break. It's a little bit stressful, timelines are looking tight, but these are the books that I'm gonna be reading in the month of August. Handy dandy planner time. I live and breathe by this good thing, guys. All right. August. And I'm actually gonna go based on the weeks that I planned these out. Okay, bad news bears. Because everything has gone so sideways, because life hasn't been going to plan the way it, never really does. And honestly, because living near family is so hectic, I really underestimated how active my family is. I've had to say no now, extra. I say no on a pretty regular basis because I have a schedule, I have my reading time, I have my quiet time. I have started saying extra no because I'm no, I have goals, man. I have stuff that I need to get done. Nobody cares but me, but I care. Matters to me, so I need to set boundaries even firmer, right? Originally, I was going to buy Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher, which releases in August. I'm not going to. I'm not even going to be able to read it, which is bummer, right? And then, oh my God, what is it? The third one of the Sworn Soldier came out this month too. Not gonna be able to read that, but I'm gonna do a weekend marathon of all 3 of those books because they're freaking amazing and I can't get enough of those. So that's gonna be a treat for future me. I'm not gonna be able to read Ninja Bar. I haven't read the first 2 books. I just don't have capacity right now. So that's gonna be a future me thing too. We kind of just moved around some stuff to adjust for some pretty big news, okay? So let's get started. We already got the bad news out the way. Yeah, let's get started. This month, I will be starting the Iliad, specifically the Emily Wilson translation. I need to get through this book by October. It is approximately 710-ish pages, I believe. 610 of actual text plus 75 introductory, and then whatever else on the end that you supplement. So give or take 750-ish pages. I am giving myself 3 months to read the Iliad. Obviously, we all know what the Iliad's about. It is written by Homer. Let's not get into who Homer is. We're not sure. Anyways, the Iliad tells the story of the last 10 days, specifically like 6 days of truce, 6 days of fighting, like 4 days of truce or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember very well. But it specifically tackles the last couple of weeks of the Trojan War, specifically the weeks between Agamemnon pissing off Achilles and the death of Hector. So we only get those couple of weeks. We don't even get the actual fall of Troy. That is a whole other book. So the Iliad tells the story of the rage of Achilles specifically. It's about Achilles having his honor compromised, Achilles having his companions taken from him. So it is about Achilles' rage and the length that he and the gods are willing to go to restore that honor, among other things. I will be reading 250 pages of this month. I'm actually reading that the first week. This week. I'm already behind, but I will be reading 250 pages of it this month, and that will put me on track to complete this by October, because I need to be done with this to pilot my outlining process in November. So priority of the month is 250 pages of the Iliad. This book is kind of carryover from July. After 1177 BC, The Survival of Civilizations by Eric H. Klein. This is the sequel to 1177 BC, the year civilization collapsed. This covers the transition, both successfully and not as successfully, of the late Bronze Age empires into the early Bronze Age, into the early Iron Age of the Bronze Age. So this is how civilizations did or did not survive after the collapse and their tumultuous transition to the early Iron Age. Y'all, famine struck everybody. Like, there was no rain for centuries. It was awful. No wonder everybody was struggling and the whole system collapsed, right? I've already gotten through about 80 pages. I intend to finish this because I want to see what happens in the Aegean. And while I could skip ahead, I do enjoy this book anyways. The reason that I'm curious about this is because this is going to impact Quinn's histories and Quinn's fairy tales, because civilization collapsed, per the cover in 1177. If the Trojan War happened in 1200 BCE, and if it ended in 1190 BCE, 1190 BCE is theoretically the year that the Aegean just went kaput, probably because everybody was out at war for 10 years and nobody was out there watching the kingdoms. Odysseus takes another 10 years to get back home. That puts him at 1180 BCE, back in Ithaca. The math ain't mathin'. What are we doing here? So I need to understand what happened. I know it's also mythological. I get it. It's myth. It's not, the math isn't going to line up correctly. But I'm curious about what would have happened to Odysseus and what he would have had to face if all of this calamity was happening. Earthquakes were striking, droughts, famine, plagues, all of that was happening while Odysseus was out at sea, theoretically, before he got to Ithaca. And if he got back to Ithaca in 1180, Ithaca was gone, yo. So I just want to have a good grasp of that, because the Bronze Age epics that I'm thinking about, and now I'm maybe early Iron Age ones too, they all have to fit together in the story and the timeline that I'm creating, because obviously we're going to be within a century or so of each other. There's not going to be any precise day in 1178, month of September or what have you, this is what happened. We're not going to have that level of detail. But I need to understand the immediate aftermath so that I can intelligently create my timelines across my many universes, across my many projects, and there's consistency. That's what I'm going for. My biggest concern is not having consistency, and if I don't have consistency, I want to at least have an understanding of why it's not consistent, to be able to explain it to myself, have a note this is why this is incorrect. I have so many things I'm drafting in parallel, so many worlds I'm building, so many things I'm asking and researching. I need to make a note to myself why something is inconsistent, why Odysseus gets back and Ithaca's thriving, there ain't no droughts, ain't no plagues. I have to make a note of why I decided to make that creative choice, because then it kind of makes me question everything else that maybe Odysseus gets back and Ithaca's gone. It's just something that I need to keep in mind. So I will be finishing this hopefully this week, and then I'll start the 250 pages of the Iliad. Because once I start the Iliad, I'm going to read the Iliad until I finish the 250 pages. But after 1177 BC. I should be finishing that this week. Next, I will be reading the Greek plays by multiple people. I will specifically be reading, I will tell you. I will specifically be reading Agamemnon by Aeschylus, Agamemnon, Trojan Women by Euripides, Helen by Euripides, maybe Electra actually, or Medea. Yeah, because Electra also was written by Sophocles, and then over here by Euripides. For sure, Trojan Women, Helen, and Agamemnon, because those are the ones that continue the story of Troy. It continues like what happens to the heroes after Troy. So I'm going to read the Greek plays of those. I'm not going to read this whole book, like I have other priorities, but those plays specifically I will be reading. I also picked up this little volume from my local half-price books because I was missing the Sophocles play for Ajax, because he's one of the heroes and I want to know what he's up to. I almost made Ajax a bigger part of the story, but I couldn't, because to tell that story, it would have taken from everything else that was happening, because I want to give voices to certain people, and Ajax just kept kind of popping up in my head. I wanted to tell the story of Ajax, but I can't. I am just going to read the story of Ajax to know what happened to him afterwards. It is a bummer what happened, by the way. Like, that is not okay. So I'll be reading that in this little bitty volume. I didn't get to this in July for a multitude of arguably good, still crummy reasons. I will be spending a weekend dedicated to reading Separate Rooms by Pier Vittorio Tondelli with a foreword by Andre Osman. I intended to read this the same month that I read Call Me By Your Name, and I'm actually so glad that I've chosen to read them so close to each other. My Call Me By Your Name reread was just so enlightening. I'm so glad that I did it. But this book just didn't make it. I barely finished Call Me By Your Name on July 30th because of everything that was happening. So I'm going to dedicate a weekend in August. I already have it outlined and I have it set apart so that I can get through this book. It's going to be a lot of depression crammed into a single weekend. You know, we're going to do our best to get through this because I still want to read this. It's part of my sad gay summer. Of course I have to read this. So I'll be reading Separate Rooms by Pier Vittorio Tondelli. I don't even want to talk about what it's about. In this book, we follow Leo and Thomas. Thomas is a young German musician who is dying. And his older boyfriend, Leo, who is a renowned Italian writer, is not taking it well. And he is grieving in a very tragic, it's gonna be so sad. It's Leo running away from the grief, Leo trying to remember the grief, Leo trying to forget it, Leo trying to believe that it could have been different. And this is all set in the horrific realities of being a gay man in 1980s Europe. This is going to be really heavy, but I'm going to get through it, and I'm dedicating a weekend to getting through this. Along the sad gay summer thread, we will be reading these two for the month of August, the last books of my sad gay summer reading list. First, I'm going to be reading, well, not first. I will be reading What Belongs to You by Garth Greenwell. In this book, we follow an American teacher who meets a charismatic young hustler named Mitko. And their relationship quickly turns predatory, volatile. It sounds so toxic and awful. This is the kind of toxicity that I'm looking for in my sad gay summer. Separate Rooms is just tragic. It's sad. It's a sadness that reaches like a human element in you, like the loss of a loved one, the bitterness of that loss, the inability to process that grief, and the different ways that everybody grieves. Like, that's very real, right? Terrible shit that actually happened in the 80s. This is kind of just two people making bad decisions. And I like it. It's tragic and toxic. So I will be reading this book, as well as Open Heaven by Sean Hewitt. This follows James and Luke in a remote village in the north of England as they set out to come to terms with their sexuality, their desires, their loneliness, because they're both lonely kids, and the terrors of your first love. This is also what I'm looking for. I'm pretty sure this doesn't end well, and I'm okay with it. So this is much more like the lighter side of sad gay summer that I wanted. So I think this is a good tragic palate cleanser to something like Separate Rooms, which is probably going to devastate me. I will also be reading The Trojan War by Barry Strauss. This book has kind of just been like going month over month. I have to get through this because this is actually a book written that proposes that the Trojan War was most likely the culmination of a long feud over power, wealth, and honor in Western Turkey and the offshore islands. It doesn't discount Helen because, I mean, you know, ancient people, as I have come to find out, went to war for much less than stealing a queen. He proposes that perhaps the 10-year siege didn't happen like consecutively. It wasn't just, you know, Achilles and Agamemnon chilling there for 10 years with their armies, that it could have been something different. And while I think that this is a bit of a controversial opinion of what happened in the Trojan War among Trojan scholars, this fits for what I would imagine this to be in my Quinn's Histories. I have to read more about like Bronze Age warfare to understand the logistics of having what, like 1,001 ships or something like that, like 1,100 ships that are just chilling on the shores of Anatolia. That just seems feasibly not possible. Like, what happens to the workforce? What happens to everybody that's left behind? Why would anyone wait 10, 20 years for their kings to return from war? I personally usurped the throne. Like, everybody out over there doing weird stuff with Troy. The throne's literally up for the taking. So there's so many questions about the logistics of it. So I'm really curious about this proposition of the Trojan War as a multi-year engagement across multiple kingdoms, across multiple motivations. So that's why I want to read this. And August is kind of crowded, but if I don't get to it in August, I'm gonna get to it in September. Like, this book is happening before I finish the Iliad because I gotta be done with this in November for that pilot drafting. And then I am going to be spending Labor Day, which is the final weekend of August, rereading a problematic series. It's a trilogy, and I don't remember much of it because I sped read it over a weekend. I won't be speed reading it, but I will be vlogging it. It's just such an interesting series. I'm not gonna disclose what it is yet. I will eventually, surprise, this is the trilogy. I have no idea what to expect. I read this 10, 12 years ago. It's been a very long time. And I enjoyed it for its toxicity. I kind of glossed over all of the problematic elements. And I need a palate cleanser. So I'm like, you know what? Let's have some fun on Labor Day weekend. And I'm gonna read it. I will be vlogging it. I have no idea what to expect. Even though I've already read the book, I don't know what my crusty self at this age is gonna think. I will be reading 3 more books, mystery books, for the month of August. That's it. I actually have probably less books than most people, booktubers. I know people usually have a stack of books that they're gonna read. I don't have that capacity, I just can't. So those are the books that I intend to read for the month of August. I'm hoping to really hunker down and get some serious reading done because I really need to get on this, especially the Iliad. I cannot fall behind on the Iliad. I need to finish the Iliad by October so that I can prep all of the materials for Thanksgiving break. I have a 4-day weekend for Thanksgiving. I probably also have family obligations. Not great, but we'll make it work. So I need to have everything ready for my 4-day weekend because that will inform the 2-week drafting that I'm going to be doing in December. And I'm not gonna do it for the first time in December. I'm gonna lose a week just trying to figure out the proper system. So I need to very quickly learn, fail, so I can get a system in place that I can take into December to help me plot the book that I need to be plotting. That's currently my urgency. The world kind of going sideways on me was not only not part of the plan, but actually jeopardizes a really big deliverable that I have for myself for the end of the year. I have been in Bronze Age headspace since May. I won't have this luxury again next year. I am pretty sure next year, no, not pretty sure. I know next year what I'm gonna be doing. I don't have the time, I don't have the energy to pivot because I already have other plans, lined up for what's happening Quinn Q3 and 4 next year, as well as Quinn Q2. I have a very limited amount of time to get through all of this stuff. I need to get that done really quick. I'm gonna try to cram as many books into this month as I possibly can. Oh, and I'm also gonna be reading Babel for my book club. That is so fun. It's very long, but I have the audiobook and I'm gonna be reading Babel. So I'm really excited about that. And if I'm lucky, I might be able to sneak in a queer fluff because I haven't been able to. July just went so sideways, y'all. That is what I will be reading in August. And I'm fairly confident that I can make it work, especially because the Greek plays are shorter. So if I don't need a whole week for the Greek plays, I will move up some stuff so I can get more books in because I am behind and I gotta catch up. That's it for this video. Let me know what you guys are reading for the month of August. Let me know if you read anything that I read. If you recommend any other Greek plays that track the lives of other Trojan War heroes. I have the Iliad on my list. That's not a priority for this month. I will be reading kind of an abridged version so I can get the whole Trojan horse thing out of the way. Well, I could just read the first couple of chapters to get the Trojan horse thing out of the way. I'll see where that falls into my little timeline. September is kind of like a catch-up month, so I'm gonna probably just cram everything I didn't read into September and just knock it out then, worst case scenario. Let me know what you were reading. I'd love to hear about it. Catch you guys next time. Bye!